Welcome back, everybody, to Jon David's Journey. If you like that song, it's First Time by Teeks, and I'm also going to use that one whenever we get discharged, because we have prayed a lot for Jon David, we have cried a lot for Jon David, and, you know, the very last line that you hear there before the video cuts off is, "Can't believe we're here. We have come a very long way in 4 weeks. Jon David, we can't believe we're here. We want to keep moving forward." I'll give you the update here in a little bit, but also when we get ready to get discharged, we're not going to believe that we're there. It's going to be a little surreal, so I'll make another one with that song when we get to that point. Also, I just want to go ahead and take a moment to say thank you to some people who have reached out. I think I did this a little bit last night. The only one who I know has made their stuff public is 3 Under 2, the YouTube channel, who that father started that channel, and his little boy Max has Toxic Being, and he's in Australia. But then there have been 3 other people who've contacted me through other various means, and I don't have complete knowledge they would want that public, so I'm not going to say who they are. But there's been one who's a 9-month-old in Louisiana, one who's a 30-year-old in North Carolina, another one who's a 12-year-old out in Utah. But to all of them, thank you for giving our family some peace of mind of, you have children with this exact same diagnosis of toxic being, and they're doing fine, and y'all had your surgeries, and your things are going well. So that's really reassuring to us as a family. Also, there have been multiple other people who've reached out who have had their own CHD journeys with different diagnoses. Thank y'all for that as well. Same thing. It's a community. We all know what it feels like when you have this hopeless feeling, when it is really, really tough and going through these hard times. So I appreciate y'all reaching out and being confidants for us, being sounding boards for us, letting us ask questions and get your advice and pick your brains. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Also, one other thing with this journey, I know we've talked about it before, but not everything is linear. You don't go from here to here in a straight line. It tends to be kind of up and then down a little bit and then up and then down a little bit and then up. You might go down some more and then come back up. You still end up higher than you were to start with. However, you don't get there in a straight line. So today was not the best day for Jon David. However, he did have an overall good day. And since I'm saying all that, I actually didn't read my devotional this morning when I was supposed to. I slept in, took a nap this afternoon, then read it this afternoon after he was starting to have some of his problems. And so I do want to read it to you real quick, just because I think it's really appropriate for what we're talking about. But it says, "I have promised to meet all your needs according to my glorious riches. Your deepest, most constant need is for my peace. I have planted peace in the garden of your heart where I live, but there are weeds growing there too: pride, worry, selfishness, unbelief. I am the gardener, and I am working to rid your heart in those weeds. I do my work in various ways. When you sit quietly with me, I shine the light of my presence directly into your heart. In this heavenly light, peace grows abundantly and weeds shrivel up. I also send trials into your life. When you trust me in the midst of trouble, peace flourishes and weeds die away. Thank me for troublesome situations. The peace they can produce far outweighs the trials you endure." I would argue that this has definitely been the biggest trial in our life. And 2 Corinthians 4:17 states that light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. I would definitely and wholeheartedly agree that this has been a trial, and that it hands down has probably been the biggest thing in my life to bring me closer to the Lord. So I get it, because in those times where he went into cardiac arrest, where he had a stroke, where he had those things where it just felt like we had no hope, there was nowhere else to turn. So I completely get how these difficult times strengthen your faith. Now, that being said, let me get into Jon David's update. So today they increased his feed by 3 cc's or 3 mLs. So he's getting 6 milliliters per hour. They also decreased his pressure by 1, decreased his oxygen by 5%, completed all of his antibiotics. So he's on no more antibiotics. He is completely done with those. His infection is clear. His chest looks good. We got to see him change the bandage. Everything looks good. They also started weaning his sedatives, giving him Ativan. And he also passed his second ERT early this morning, like 3 to 4 a.m. That's when they keep doing it. It's really early in the morning, which I stay up and watch them, which is one of the reasons why I slept in so late this afternoon. But he's passed 2 ERTs, and he had not passed any prior to surgery. He definitely didn't pass any when we were going through all the really crazy stuff with cardiac arrest and stroke and whatnot. So we are doing better. However, in the afternoon, after they had increased all these things and decreased his oxygen, increased his feeds, he started desatting a little bit, which is kind of the pattern that he was doing before we went on the nitric and everything last week. However, they've gone back up on his oxygen by 15%, so he's sitting at 55 now. He was at 40 this morning. And so his sats have leveled back out. He's sitting in the low 70s now, which is where he's supposed to be. They just had to increase his O2. And like, as a parent, we want that linear from here to here. You know, a lot of us, we think like you work consistently, you're here, and you just keep working, you get here. But that's just not how this journey goes. At least not for some people. Like, we have friends who've gone out, like Branson, who got discharged the other day. You know, Branson came in and he went from here to here almost like a straight line, right? So for him, that was great. And we are so happy for him. We're happy for his family. We congratulated him when he left. We saw him off like that. That is phenomenal. But for Jon David, that's just not how his recovery is going. His goes here and then kind of comes down, and then goes here and then kind of comes down. We're still moving to that top point. But as a parent, it is frustrating when you hit these little lows, when you keep dropping, right? So we want that. And in some ways, it is kind of hard to see that. However, one of the reasons why I really love doing these videos is because for me, it is a way to be able to gauge, like, you know, today, yeah, we were here, and yes, we dropped a little bit because we had to put 15% back on the oxygen, but we got off of his. So again, we're going here to here, and we went up. We're no longer on his. We're here, we drop down. We're still above the spot because we're no longer on antibiotics. We're no longer having to have all the sedatives. One thing that I do not have in here written down, but I need to go ahead and tell you, he has had no PRNs or boluses all day, meaning he has had no extra sedatives, no extra pain medicine. This is the first day that's happened. So again, you know, it feels frustrating when we have to have something not exactly go right or not go according to plan, and you feel like that's like a kick in the gut. However, again, one of the reasons why I've loved doing these and updating y'all, especially, it keeps things in perspective when I have to write it down and say like, oh yeah, so like this right here, yeah, this one little thing didn't go our way, but we have 4 other things that did go our way. So we are very proud of him. He's still taking steps forward. You know, so we are very, very happy with all of that. Now, assuming that he can stabilize and stay where he's at through the night and kind of get in tomorrow, they're looking at starting him on methadone to come off of the narcotics. They're also looking at increasing his feed some more, weaning his ventilator supports more, because they're trying to get him ready to come off the ventilator this weekend. For those of you who watched the ERT, the intubation extubation video, you know the ERTs are kind of what they use as baselines. They use them as data points to figure out when they can come off the ventilator. And so because of that, that's where we're working towards. If things continue progressing the way they are, they're thinking that he will be able to be off the ventilator completely by this weekend. Now, again, that may not happen because of the way the journey goes. He might take a turn. It might be sometime next week or the week after. And if that happens, that will be okay. But we are really hoping that things aren't going to fall down any, that he'll keep progressing the way he is, and he's off by this weekend. Now, some other really good news is that the flu restrictions were lifted today. And so because of that, Hunter is coming up here tomorrow, and he's going to be able to see his baby brother for the first time ever in his life. So we are stoked for that, and we are so happy for it. Also, speaking of Hunter, I want to show you that my children speak with their face. They have a lot of personality. They have ever since they've been born. We joke about it. When Hunter was born in the delivery room, he just was very expressive from the moment he was born. He just looked around and made faces. So this right here is me as a baby, and this is Hunter. So very much the same, like same face, very expressive. We joke around with Jon David here in the ICU. All the nurses joke about it, that he has a very expressive side eye, which you will see here in a moment. For those of you who stayed on this long, hope y'all have enjoyed this, and I hope y'all have a good night, and God bless. Jon David, tell everybody bye-bye.